Hello, everybody. Welcome to SIP Theater, our social isolation project. Today, the philosophers, and the philosophers are Jimmy Tomkins and John Phillip, Melvyn Stevens, and myself, Bronwyn Rucker. And we have our special guest philosophers. We have Bill Thomas and Bill Satin and Marion Hart, aka Mimi, as our audience. We will begin with, we're following the frolic format today, which means the artists bring original work or poems or monologues of their own choosing to share. So our first philosopher will be John Phillip.
Thank you, Bronwyn, and thank you always for bringing us together. And I'm going to do a poem from the Russian Silver Age by Marina Tsvetaeva, Attempted Jealousy. What's it like with another woman? Simpler? A flash of the oar? Did the memory of me soon fade offshore? Like the beach of a floating island in the sky, not the sea. Souls, souls. You'll be sisters, not lovers. That's what you'll be. What's life like with an ordinary woman? I mean, now that you've dethroned your idol, you've renounced the throne without the divinity. What's your life like? Occupation? Shriveled? Getting up? What's it like? What do you pay, poor man, for endless triviality? The price. I'm through with hysteria, convulsions. I'll rent a place half done. Ugh. What's it like with a common woman, my chosen one? More suitable? Edible? The food? Boring? Don't complain. What's it like with an imitation? You who climb the holy mount, a strain. What's your life like with a stranger? A worldly soul? Well, is it love? Like the God's whip, does shame not lash your head from above? What's it like? Your health? I mean, how is it? How do you sing? How do you cope, poor man, with the festering sore of endless conscience? What's life like with a marketable purchase? The price terrible. What's it like with crumbling plaster of Paris after the finest Carrara marble? Goddess, made from stone and smashed to bits. What's your life like with one of millions? You who've known Lilith. Does the marketable purchase meet your needs? Now magic's dead. What's your life like with a mortal woman, neither using the sixth sense? Well, swear. Are you happy then? No? What's your life like in a pit with no depth, my love? Harder. Or just like mine with another man?
And now, dear Melvyn Stevens.
I'm going to do two scenes from Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, both from Act 2. One of the characters is Big Daddy, and the second monologue will be Brick, Big Daddy's son. And as some background to this, Big Daddy has a terminal disease, but is unaware of it. I got that clock this summer, went to Europe, me and Big Mama, on that damn Cook's tour. Never had such a lousy time in my life. I'm telling you, son, those dukes over there, they gouge your eyeballs out in their grand hotels, and Big Mama bought more stuff than you could haul in a couple of boxcars. And that's no crap. Everywhere she went on this whirlwind tour, she bought. Why, half the stuff she bought is still crated up and mildewing in the basement, underwater, last spring. That Europe is nothing on earth but a great big auction. That's all it is. That bunch of old, worn out places, just a big fire sale, the whole rotten thing. And Big Mama, oh, wow, she went wild in it. Why, you couldn't hold that woman with a mule's harness. Bought, bought, bought. Lucky I'm a rich man. Yes, sirree, Bob. It's lucky I'm a rich man. You know, it's sure lucky, well, I am a rich man. Brick, yep, I'm a mighty rich man. You know how much I'm worth? Guess. Guess how much I'm worth. Close on 10 million in cash and blue chip stocks outside, mind you, of 28,000 acres of the richest land this side of the Nile Valley. But a man can't buy his life with it. You can't buy back his life when his life has been spent. That's one thing not offered in the Europe fire sale or in the American markets or any markets on earth. A man can't buy his life with it. He can't buy back his life with it when his life is finished. Now there's a sobering thought, a very sobering thought indeed. That's a thought that I was turning over in my head over and over and over until today. I'm wiser and sadder. I'm wiser and sadder for this experience which I just gone through. That's one thing else I remember in Europe. The hills around Barcelona in the country of Spain, and the children running over those bare hills and their bare skins begging like starving dogs with howls and screeches, and how fat the priests are on the streets of Barcelona. So many of them, and so fat, so pleasant. You know, I could feed that country. I got enough money to feed that goddamn country, but the human animal is a selfish beast. And I don't reckon the money I pass out there is going to go to howling children in the hills around Barcelona with more than upholster one of the chairs in this room. I mean, pay to put a new cover on this chair? Well, I threw them money like it's got a corn feed for chickens. I threw money at them just to get rid of them long enough so I could climb back into my car and drive away. And then in Morocco, them Arabs, why, prostitution begins at 4 or 5, and that's no exaggeration. Why, I remember one day in Marrakesh, that old walled Arab city, I sat on a broken down wall to have a cigar. It was fearful hot there, and this Arab woman stood in the road and looked at me. Oh, I was embarrassed. She stood stock still in the dusty, hot road and looked at me till I was embarrassed. But listen to this. She had a naked child with her, a little naked girl with her, barely able to toddle. And after a while, she set this child on the ground, whispered something to her, and gave her a shove. This child came toward me, barely able to walk. Came toddling up to me. Jesus, it makes you sick to remember a thing like this. It struck out its hand and tried to unbutton my trousers. That child was not yet 5. Can you believe me? Or do you think that I'm making this up? See.
Thank you, Melvyn. And now I usually read the past several sessions. I've been reading from White Lady Journals, which is my work, notes from my work in the community over the past 30 years. But today I'm not reading that. I'm going to read Frank Zappa's piece written in 1966 called Trouble Every Day. Well, I'm about to get sick from watching my TV, been checking out the news until my eyeballs fail to see. I mean to say that every day is just another rotten mess, and when it's going to change, my friends, is anybody's guess. So I'm watching and I'm waiting, hoping for the best, even think I'll go to praying every time I hear them saying, there's no way to delay that trouble coming every day. No way to delay that trouble coming every day. Wednesday, I watched the riot. I seen the cops out on the street, watched them throwing rocks and stuff and choking in the heat, listened to reports about the whiskey passing round, seen the smoke and fire and the market burning down, watched while everybody on his street would take a turn to stomp and smash and bash and crash and slash and bust and burn. And I'm watching and I'm waiting, hoping for the best. Even think I'll go to praying every time I hear him saying that there's no way to delay the trouble coming every day. No way to delay that trouble coming every day. Well, you can cool it, you can heat it, 'cause baby, I don't need it. Take your TV tube and eat it. And all that phony stuff on sports and all the unconformed reports. You know I've watched that rotten box until my head began to hurt from checking out the way the newsmen say they get the dirt. Before the guys on channel so-and-so, and further they assert that any show they interrupt to bring you news if it comes up, they say that if the place blows up, they'll be the first to tell because the boys they got downtown are working hard and doing well. And if anybody gets the news before it hits the street, they say that no one blabs it faster. Their coverage can't be beat. And if another woman driver gets machine gunned from her seat, they'll send some joker with a brownie and you'll see it all complete. So I'm watching and I'm waiting, hoping for the best. Even think I'll go to praying every time I hear him saying that there's no way to delay that trouble coming every day. No way to delay that trouble coming every day. Hey, you know something, people? I'm not black, but there's a whole lots of times I wish I could say I'm not white. Well, I seen the fires burning and the local people turning on the merchants and the shops who used to sell their brooms and mops and every other household item. Watch the mob just turn and bite them. And they say it served them right because a few of them are white. And it's the same across the nation, black and white discrimination. They're yelling, you can't understand me. And all the other crap they hand me in the papers and TV and all that mass stupidity that seems to grow more every day. Each time you hear some nitwit say he wants to go and do you in because the color of your skin just don't appeal to him, no matter if it's black or white, because he's out for blood tonight. You know, we gotta sit around at home and watch this thing begin, but I bet there won't be many left to see it really end. Because the fire in the street ain't like the fire in my heart. And in the eyes of all these people, don't you know that this could start on any street, in any town, in any state, if any clown decides that now's the time to fight for some ideal he thinks is right. And if a million more agree, there ain't no great society as it applies to you and me. Our country isn't free. And the law refuses to see if all that you can ever be is just a lousy janitor, unless your uncle owns a store. You know that 5 in every 4, just one amount and nothing more. Don't watch the rats go across the floor and make up songs about being poor. Blow your harmonica, son. That's it.
Very timely.
Frank Zappa, 1966. And now, Jimmy
Great.
Tomkins.
Let me pin this up here. Well, so that I don't have to, okay. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Is everything fine?
Yeah, you're fine.
Yes.
This is a new monologue for the character, you know, the bitchy queen character who's always gossiping.
Okay.
Okay, Danny, you're never in a million years going to believe this, but, give me a scotch and soda when you have a moment. You're never going to believe this. I went with Patrick to see this old movie down at the Film Forum, you know, down on Houston Street, and as we were leaving, you're never going to believe this, but who do you think we saw? Just walking down the sidewalk like a normal person. I'll tell you, because you never guess in a million years. Want me to give you a hint? I can give you a hint. You want a hint? Okay. Okay. Here's the hint. It's a she. It's a woman, and she is an Academy Award-winning actress. Can you guess? No. Okay. You want another hint, right? Okay. Never mind. I'll give you another hint. Now let me think. It's got to be a good one because you're never in a million years going to guess. At least not without a hint. I got it. Okay. She has 2 Academy Awards. 2.
Wow.
You give up? I'll tell you. Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep.
Yes, that's right. Patrick and I saw her walking down the street, just like a normal person, mind you. Just as we were leaving the theater. I couldn't believe it. I turned to Patrick and I said, look, there's Meryl Streep. And he said, who? And I said, Meryl Streep, you half-wit. You know how slow he can be sometimes. That's why nobody ever wants to play Scrabble with him. Anyway, he said, where? And I said, right there, just walking down the street like a normal person. Danny, who would ever think you'd seen Meryl Streep just walk down the street like a normal person? She had on sunglasses, and she was wearing this scarf, like a babushka on her head. And, her nose is not anywhere near as big as people say it is. Anyway, she was carrying this shopping bag from the Odd Lot store over on 14th Street. Who would have thought that Meryl Streep shops at the Odd Lot, just like a normal person? Well, but believe me, Danny, when I tell you this, she was wearing the shabbiest shoes you could imagine. I mean, who could guess that Meryl Streep would wear shabby shoes? Well, Patrick said it wasn't her, but I said it was. I mean, I should know Meryl Streep when I see her. But no, Patrick insisted that it wasn't her. So I said, I'll prove it to you. And I ran over to her, ran up down the street to get her to her. And I said to her, you're Meryl Streep, aren't you? And she said, with this very heavy accent, you know how she always uses accents in movies. And she's always doing these foreign accents. And she says to me with this very heavy accent, no, get away from me, you lunatic. The movie with an accent. She then hurried up and walked away, but just like a normal person. Well, Patrick still thinks I'm wrong, but I know I'm right. I know we saw Meryl Streep just walking along the street, just like a normal person. I'll have another scotch if you don't mind. Okay.
Very nice, Jimmy. Very nice. Jimmy's is his own writing. You kept up. You the only one with original writing today of your very own. So thank you so much. I like that monologue. Just like a normal person.
Just like a normal person.
In our half-hour format, we have about 7 minutes left. I noticed that Bill's been making jewelry over there. How are you doing, Mr. Satin?
Yes.
He's our jewelry maker. Very nice.
I'm making a prototype for my Zoom classes that are coming up in October.
Oh, okay. I will attend your Zoom class. Oh, Lordy.
Doing something like that, just like a normal person.
Just like a normal person. Bill Thomas, were you able to hear us?
Oh, yes, I heard it all. Nice.
Okay, thank you.
My whole family has a piece of jewelry from Bill.
What?
My whole family has a piece of jewelry. I bought some.
From Bill, from
Bill.
our backyard fairs. Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Bill Satin, I'm trying to get him. One of the readings that I want to do in the future is a Rap on Race, which is James Baldwin and Margaret Mead. But it is where is my book? It's astonishing. It's a little paperback book, and I tried to get a copy of it, and it costs $900. It's very, very, very rare. So I'm painstakingly, because it's 7.5 hour, I'm typing sections out. So it'll take me a little while to get the script together, unless I can figure out a way to find it on the internet. But anyway, that's enough. In the future, I want to share a little bit of that with with you all, as well as I'll go back to my White Lady journals. Mimi, how are you doing? Did you like the show?
I love the show. What you read, that was over 50 years ago, and that could have been written today. That was really fascinating.
I know. I've been thinking
good.
so much. Sorry.
No, I was just saying, we're all so good. I really love listening to you all, because I remember when I came and watched you all rehearse at the church on Christopher Street.
Yes.
So to be able to do that again over Zoom is something I really love doing. But you were all terrific. A round of applause.
Well, thank you. Particularly you, Mimi, and Bill Thomas and Bill Satin. Thank you for being our audience. How did you feel about how it went, Jimmy Tomkins?
Well, fun with it. I loved your piece, and I enjoyed Mel's reading of the Tennessee Williams, and John, of course, always. And so I just went well.
Yeah, John, tell us a little bit more about the poem and the poetess.
Tsvetaeva?
Yeah.
Yes.
Marina Tsvetaeva was a poet who she began to write poetry before the revolution. She continued after, and she was notoriously bisexual at a time when, of course, very few people were, and she wrote in what was called the Russian Silver Age, and then she ended up in Paris, but a very sad ending. Her husband, it turned out, was actually first he looked like he was an agent for the Tsarist, the White Russian opposition. Turned out he actually was in the Soviet Secret Service. She was enticed back to Russia. Her son died. Her husband actually was imprisoned, even though he had been a member of the Secret Service. And she died and or committed suicide in the midst of the 30s in Russia. So it was a very sad ending, but while she lived, she was a trailblazer. She really was a trailblazer in poetry and in her personal life, I would have to say, too. And was isolated from a lot of the intelligentsia, not just the leftist intelligentsia, but the rightist intelligentsia. I mean, she really was a loner. Because
her work certainly addressed the weird power politics of the day. There was a lot of that ideology there that kind of fit with where we are. And Melvyn, I love the Big Daddy monologue. Speaking of power politics.
Yeah. God.
Yeah.
I have a question. I have a question. It has to do with our craft. And to be truthful, the brick is in the scene, and I cut 2 lines so that it was a little bit more like a monologue. But if there is another character on stage with you, and basically you're doing what I did, reading a rather long piece, is that still a monologue, even if the other actor is on stage with you? I don't need an immediate,
It's a monologue if the other actor on stage with you doesn't say anything.
Right.
You but because then it's a monologue, but it's when you're doing it in action, you're doing it to somebody. So it's a play, but extrapolating monologues. We have about a minute left, folks. So I just wanted to thank everybody again, and especially our guests.